Hi fellow dog fanciers, today I wanted to talk about Eris's first heat cycle and what changes I observed during and after. I thought it could be helpful to owners of young female whippets. As I've said, the crazy puppy stage in whippets usually ends around a year and a half to 2 years of age, but keep in mind this can vary from dog to dog and there are exceptions. But typically the heat cycle is the beginning of the end of the puppy stage and all mischief related craziness in female whippets, and that's precisely the case with Eris, so let's talk about it. If you're new here, I'm Adi and I've had whippets for 15 years. I'm currently owned by 7 of them and I make breed specific videos to help existing and future whippet owners. If that's your type of content or you want to learn more about the breed, you can subscribe and join our growing whippet family. In case that's the first video you're watching, Eris is the latest addition to our pack and she joined our family almost a year ago. I've made sure to document her life and adventures here, and I have a whole playlist which you can watch if you would like. Whippets are known for going in heat for the first time late compared to some other breeds. In most cases, that's when they are at least 1 year old. There are exceptions and some girls have theirs earlier, and that's normal, but a bit less common. My girls have had their first heats at 13, 16, 18 months, but also at 2 years and 2 years and 3 months old. Some have their heats twice a year and others only once. Eris had her first heat very recently, starting on the 27th of January. Ruby was at the end of hers at the time and we suspect this might have influenced Eris, which can happen in households with more intact females. On the other hand, this might not be the case at all and it could have just been time for Eris to officially exit puppyhood. We were in the shopping mall with her that day when we noticed red stains on her tail and legs. Fortunately, there weren't other dogs there that day, so we were able to finish shopping in peace. In case you're wondering if she wasn't spotting on the mall floor, definitely not, or else we would have left immediately. Typically, the first few days of the heat cycle are usually not too messy. Sadly for Eris, this meant no more running in the park with her friends for the time being. This saddened me, however I was surprised by how lazier she got compared to how energetic she used to be, but more on this later. In the first week, I noticed her appetite increase dramatically. She's my very first picky eating whippet and this change was not unnoticed. Not only could she eat a lot more than before, but she finished her meals so much faster than she used to. This is a result from all the hormonal changes. However, other females may experience a loss of appetite. That's again individual. Eris used to have a lot of energy. She managed it on her own by visiting the garden several times a day and having a good sprint. Sometimes she was accompanied by the other girls, but every once in a while she was just as happy to play by herself. Mind you, the weather was never a factor. It doesn't matter if it was snowing, raining, windy or cold. Every hour almost she was outside running and jumping. During her heat, however, this routine changed almost entirely. She spent her days doing nothing, especially when the weather was bad, and she restricted her playtime to the occasional wrestling with a toy on her own indoors. She was way more sluggish and slept the majority of the time. On occasions when she went outside to play, being alone was no longer fun. She wanted company or else she came back inside. The first heat cycle can be messier than the next ones, and while that's not always the case, Eris was spotting a lot and for more than 3 weeks. In the last week, the color changed from red to dark brown, and that's usually no cause for concern. Not too long ago, I made a video on heat cycles in whippets and their weird hormonal behavior, and just as I suspected, it got demonetized. So I won't include any footage from there in this one, in hopes this one won't have the same fate, but I will link it in the description if you want to watch it later. As I mentioned there, I wondered if Eris would have the same crazy behavior as her older sisters, and I was almost certain she would. but I was wrong. She didn't flirt with any of the other girls. However, she was smart enough to target Brady instead. Even so, she was not overly annoying and was even kind of romantic in a way. But that was it. For the new joiners, Brady is neutered and he couldn't care less about this hormonal euphoria. In fact, he did his very best to hide from Eris, the poor man. This shows you how different girl whippets can be, even when they live in the same house and can pick up behaviors from one another. We waited for 4 weeks since the beginning of her heat cycle to reintroduce her to her playdates with friends, just to be sure she won't attract and frustrate any random male lovers. Now on to the changes I noticed after her heat cycle. I recently switched jobs and unfortunately for everyone in the house and especially me and Eris, I have to work from the office for a few weeks before I can get back to the usual work from home routine. If you want, I can make a video on how Eris adjusted to this change, considering she is painfully glued to me day and night. Due to this, I can't supervise her during the day at the moment, but I've been told she is a very, very good child. No mischief at all. Is this the very end of the puppy stage? I'm not certain yet. Perhaps it's a stage of quietness and we'll still get the occasional chewed up object, but we have yet to see. In terms of energy levels, Eris is for sure not as explosive as she used to be. She still loves to run, jump and play, but not at the degree she used to. In fact, the last few weeks of laziness affected her stamina and she can no longer run and jump for an hour without taking a single break. Or maybe she's a lady now and not a baby and finally understands breaks are necessary for survival. Regarding impulse control, I've definitely noticed some positive changes. Her journey of earning off-leash freedom was long and painful. She was interested in every dog, no matter how far it was. Now she's more picky about how far she wants to go, which dog is a potential friend and deserves her attention. But she is absolutely way more reliable than she used to be and gives me less heart attacks. We have a long way to go, but that's a fantastic progress. To conclude, is the heat cycle the beginning of the end of the puppy stage for Eris? It definitely is. But knowing myself, she will most likely always be a puppy to me. I hope this video will help some of you who own young female whippets. If I missed something or you have any questions, you can always drop a comment below. I wish you a lovely weekend and a fantastic week afterwards, and I will see you very soon with a new video. Bye bye!